So, motherfuckers, let's talk about some morals here. Whether it be the Ten Commandments, we're not going to talk about, like, ones that make sense, like the 9 satanic statements, because I feel like you should probably just go look those up yourselves and read them. But let's talk about, like, I would say, like, faux or false morality. How people say, well, without the Bible, everyone would just be killing each other, because no one would know right from wrong, and so basically what that analogy kind of as, like, I guess humankind as a whole is that if there is not a book telling you not to kill someone, you're gonna think it's okay. I can tell you from, like, personal experience, like, here's a story. Like, once when I was, like, younger or whatever, I was helping my grandma on her pull route and I was moving these chairs, and I, like, picked them up and, like, slammed them down or whatever because they made, like, a cool sound because they were, like, that hollow kind of metal shit. And, like, the very last chair I picked up and fucking put down, it, like, came down on a lizard and it, like, cut its tail off or whatever. And I felt so fucking terrible. Like, I was probably, like, 4 or 5, and it's like, I didn't read anywhere that it was wrong, to kill something or hurt something or maim something. I instinctually felt that it was fucked up and sad, like, for example, like, my grandpa used to, like, save the spiders, I'd be all scared of them and shit, and he would just, like, pick them up either in his hand or in a cup or something, put his hand over the cup and let them loose outside, and I thought that was cool, we didn't kill him or nothing like that. So it's just like, so basically it's, you think it's cool, that anything kind of goes if there's no Bible. Like, that doesn't not make any sense to me. When we're talking about, like, oh, that's just, like, the morality that's, accepted by the public. Well, take for example, like, back in the day of the Bible, like, it was cool to beat slaves within, like, an inch of their life. So let's use the morality of a Bible. Say Bob is a person, and Bob, finds a black person on the street, say of Oakland or something, takes them home, tells them to do shit, and since they're obviously not going to do it, beats them to an inch of their life. But they get up on the second day, so that, like, goes past that whole, like, 3 days, like, they can't get up, and that's totally fine. You're not gonna, like, that's not gonna be attempted murder, kidnapping, blah blah, because it's in the Bible. So since it's in the Bible, we know it's okay. That makes sense, doesn't it? There's a lot of, like, creepy old men, which, even though they were, like, described as being, like, hundreds of years old, like, people's time in that fucking book is really fucked up. But so these old men marrying these, like, 8 and 10 and 12-year-old girls, children, and talking about, like, them on their wedding night and all this shit, or, like, oh yeah, they waited till they were, like, like, menstruating or 15 or something. Like, go read the fucking Bible. Tell me that's moral. Like, in any fucking way. Oh, but that was the culture at the time. Well, once upon a time, just as the Bible should be started with, the Mayans used to rip the hearts out of their enemies, and that was 100% culturally accepted. Not by the people that were getting their hearts ripped out their chest, but I mean, what can you do? Popularize fucking society. I feel like the new witch hunt, since it's not Salem or the 1600s, whatever, the new witch hunt, I feel like, is almost like this Me Too movement, which, if you watch more than one video, yeah, you're pretty aware of my thoughts on Marilyn Manson and all that bullshit. But, but that's the thing, like, tell me the real description between good and evil, because a lot of people have called me evil or, like, really fucked up, like, vile things. I'm like, oh, I agree with, Anton LaVey on his, basic principles of living, for the most part. And oh my God, they're like, oh my God, you're fucking a Satanist, like, you believe in the devil, you butcher children, and, kill puppies, and da-da-da. Like, dude, my chihuahuas are taken care of better than you are. My chihuahuas have a way better life than me. If anything, I'm like, I'm 100% for animals, and if you read, like, those 9 satanic fucking statements or all that fun shit, it's like animals and children are supposed to be the ones that are, like, protected, Man's like a filthy animal that, is fully conscious and aware of its actions, but there is a certain innocence, in animals and stuff like that. So that's why I'm not going to say advocate, because that kind of reminds me of activism. That just reminds me of all this feminist bullshit, but I stand for my animals, But I just want to know how, like, a book that, was from, thousands of years ago, or whatever time period it was written, manufactured, printed, blah, blah, blah. Tell me how, like, the standards of then still hold up today. Because, like I said, if you pick up, a black person in Oakland and, they get up after 2 days after you beat them and rape them and all that fun shit, it's not fucking right just because the Bible says it is. And that also means it's not wrong just because the Bible says it is. You can't fucking cherry pick and be like, yeah, a man can never lay with another man, and that's just like 100%, but all the other shit, about like genocide and slaves and, basically rape and all this other shit, like, that's fine, that's totally cool. But the gays, it's always them damn gays, doesn't even really say anything about lesbians in the Bible, so is that, like, God approved? I have, like, a little Jesus check mark next to, like, 2 bitches, is, like, Jesus really into, like, Cradle of Filth's, like, vestial masturbation shirt, or the bitch is fucking the cross? Like, I'm very curious. Like, let me know down in the comments if you're a hardcore Catholic and you're watching this. But yeah, it's just, like, there really isn't a good or evil. Like, I love watching horror movies. I'm like, oh yeah, Ouija, and, like, all this quote-unquote evil shit, or blah, 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 like, demonic-looking shit. Like, it's just, I like that kind of shit, not just because I'm mentally ill, and not just because I do drugs and drink and, kill puppies on the side. It's not because of that. I hate people. It's because, like, it's fucking interesting. I can't stand romantic comedies where the same thing happens over and over again, and, the guy's generally the bad guy, and the girl's just, like, recently all empowered and all this and that, and blah, 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 usually when they're just kind of stupid and, like, desperate, but, yeah, it's just, like, there's more of a storyline to it, like Constantine, there's a very, like, philosophical, like, you kind of reflect upon yourself, like Resident Evil, it's like a conspiracy, Halloween movies, I guess not so much. I mean, it's kind of just like, he fucking tries to kill you, scary, but I mean, I'd rather watch that than, like, 27 Dresses, or, like, White Chicks, or, Something Borrowed, or just any of those things my wife watches because it makes me want to kill myself, but in, like, a fun way. What the fuck was that video? I think it was, like, a Cradle of Filth video where the bitches were, like, playing violins, but they were razor blades and they were cutting their wrists. God, fucking comment if you know what I'm talking about. But they, like, had saws and they were, like, cutting their wrists, but it was to, like, the backing of a violin. Like, that's interesting. It's not provoking, But I kind of got off topic, but yeah, morality really does not exist. And if you want to, like, try to tell me that the Bible and the 10 Commandments are, part of what makes people good people, then I just kind of want to look at your life and what the fuck's wrong with you, Because if you're actually a quote-unquote Christian or a religious person, and you have actually read the Bible through and through, I really want to hear any argument you have to say. Comment below. I'm bored. But yeah, good and evil, they really don't exist. It's all personal. It's all opinions. It's really just, it's a fairy tale.